Gervonta Davis, the gymnast. God damn.
Tank Davis is now in the training camp, and his mission hasn't changed. He's determined to fix everything that went wrong in his first fight against Lamont Roach Jr. and leave no questions after the rematch. Back at his training camp in Baltimore, Davis is going through a steady and focused routine, guided by his longtime coaches Calvin Ford and Kenny Ellis, who continue to stand by him.
All right, Tank, lean back for me. Deep breath in, out all the way. Good. There you go.
This time, training started earlier than usual, which Davis's team sees as a clear sign that he's more disciplined than ever. By the middle of May, Davis was already deep into camp, keeping his weight under control and staying completely focused. Kenny Ellis even mentioned that Davis is ahead of schedule, pointing to how sharp and in shape he already looks. The team made it clear they didn't want any distractions or delays. Their approach is simple this time: be ready to go all 12 rounds, take control of the fight from start to finish, and avoid relying on one big punch to turn things around. One of the main problems the camp is working on comes from the 4th round of the first fight. Calvin Ford said it was at that moment that things started to unravel, not because of Roach's pressure, but because of something completely avoidable. He explained, "We knew the grease in Tank's hair was a problem from the 4th round. His vision was compromised and we had to adapt. The hair product began dripping into Davis's eyes, making his vision blurry and causing discomfort. This meant Davis was fighting with limited sight, and even though he still landed some strong punches, it made it harder for him to react and defend against Roach's counters." Ford was clear about what happened next, saying, "That knee in the 9th wasn't a surrender. It was a strategic move to reset and protect him. Ref Willis made the right call. No punch landed, so it wasn't a knockdown. Tank fought through pain, and the draw reflects a fair fight, but we want to run it back to settle this once and for all."
Well, seeing the first fight, like I said, both of them are great fighters, man. I mean, good fighters too, great fighters. Who gonna have the edge this time?
Yeah.
Not saying he gonna win though, but Lamont.
Why?
He would have weighed everybody saying that he won. He won the fight. You know what I mean? You know, and then that when he took that knee, that really was supposed to be a disqualification. You know what I mean? And then you can't go to the corner.
Kenny Ellis backed this up, explaining that while they understood how the moment looked, it was misunderstood by a lot of people watching. "He didn't break the rules," Ellis said, talking about the moment Davis went down on one knee. "Everybody asking the same over and over. Everybody got their own opinion, so it is what it is. That's boxing." Ellis pointed out that what many critics missed was how Davis adapted in the middle of all the chaos. "Lamont's tough, but Tank was breaking him down in the later rounds. The grease threw us off, but we adjusted. Roach didn't win, and we're ready to prove it again."
Tank, Roach, Las Vegas in June.
Tank, Roach, okay, yeah.
I was hoping that it'd just be in the DMV because I feel like that makes the most sense. But now that fight is prime time. When before it was why you fighting him, Tank? Now it's you gotta fight him, Tank.
That fast.
Yeah, right?
That fast.
And that just goes to show you just how fast, like, you could just change, you could turn the odds on the casino. Now Lamont can have his pick of the litter. Like, Shakur could fight Lamont next.
The training camp for the rematch is built on the belief that Tank could have won the first fight with better preparation and fewer mistakes on his part. This time, they're not taking any risks. They're focusing heavily on making sure Davis uses his jab more often, which he didn't do enough in the early rounds of the first fight. They've also raised his punch volume during sparring to prevent him from falling into the habit of relying on single power shots. Roach was able to dodge and counter many of those in the first fight. Now, the camp is focused on sharpening his combinations, changing up his pace, and improving his control of the ring.
But who cares? Like, sweat gonna get in your eye, blood gonna get in your eye.
Yeah, it don't matter.
Spit fuck around and get in your eye. You know what I'm saying? But it's not like you can be like, all right, time out, ref. Hold on,
Take no
ref.
time out.
You can't do that.
Right. Would you be cool with Steve Willis doing the next fight?
Hell no.
He can't do the next fight.
No, he can't do the next fight.
Right.
No.
Pops, it's a no?
Hell no.
Yeah, fuck that
Fuck,
nigga.
yeah. You know how many put Coach Ben on him, man. He lucky he ain't running Coach Ben after that fuck.
Sparring sessions have mostly been kept private, but people close to the camp say Davis has been working with fast, technically skilled fighters who mimic Roach's style. The goal isn't to look flashy in training, but to prepare for the exact pace and challenges Roach brings. That includes helping Davis get better at cutting off the ring, using his lead hand to control distance, and stepping around Roach's jab to land body shots. In the first fight, Roach used movement and angles well early on, but Davis's team believes those issues have now been handled. Another major part of this camp has been keeping Davis mentally steady. After the first fight, he was clearly frustrated and even made comments about being tired of the sport. Since then, Calvin Ford and others close to him have helped him reset. He's locked in now, Ford confirmed.
You can't even see who it is. Hey, who is the dude? Who is the dude?
We've got a plan, and he's sticking to it. The team knows how crucial it is to keep Davis focused, especially with so much on the line in this rematch. They've cut down media appearances, reduced his time on social media, and kept his attention locked in at the gym. Even though Calvin Ford isn't handling the day-to-day training anymore, he still plays a big role. His guidance still carries weight. Davis has made it clear how much Ford means to him, saying, "I got Calvin tattooed on me." Calvin isn't going anywhere. Calvin is Pops. He ain't going anywhere. Their bond has stayed strong over the years. Inside the camp, there's a real sense of urgency. Everyone knows that even though the first fight ended in a draw, a lot of people saw it as a stain on Davis's otherwise dominant record.
We did how many rounds? We probably did at least like 8 straight.
Yeah, but you in the bag for about 8 too?
Yeah.
They good. You're not in bad shape.
Yeah. Just got pick up my
Of
money.
course.
That's all.
The focus this time isn't just on winning, it's about making a strong statement. Ellis put it clearly, we're not going in there looking to make it close again. That first fight gave Lamont everything he needed. Our mistakes, our off night, everything, and he still didn't win. That won't happen again. Discipline around nutrition has also stepped up. Davis has kept his weight steady throughout the camp, staying close to the lightweight limit. There haven't been any reports of late night runs or last minute weight cuts, which used to be a problem earlier in his career. Now, the team has brought in a professional chef and a dietitian who keeps track of everything from his macros to his hydration. This structured approach shows that everyone involved sees this as a fight Davis absolutely has to win.
Honestly, I thought I should have won without that being counted a knockdown. Look, I ain't the ref. I ain't really, you know what I'm saying? Like, if he had to wipe sweat out his eye, he had to wipe sweat out his eye. But the rules do state, if you voluntarily take a knee, then that's an automatic 8 count. But it is what it is. I wasn't relying on that. I was relying on what I was doing in there. I think I was taking control. I think I was landing more shots. I think I was landing more power shots. And I thought I was doing my thing. So I'm not really that frustrated about that. But if that was kind of a knockdown, I would win the majority decision.
Strength and conditioning have become a bigger priority in this camp. Davis has added early morning runs while wearing an altitude mask, explosive plyometric exercises, and daily core workouts to help prevent injuries. The team is focusing on building his stamina for the long haul, preparing in case Roach tries to drag the fight into the later rounds again. They want Davis to stay sharp and aggressive from start to finish without slowing down. Even the film study has taken a different direction. Earlier in his career, Davis could rely mostly on his instincts and natural skill, but now the coaches are teaching him to target Roach's lead hand with specific counters, use well-timed step-ins, and bait Roach into throwing so he can land cleaner shots. The idea is to stay in control of the fight at all times, not just wait for openings, but create them on purpose.
Lamont Roach for Tank Davis. Which is the bigger fight? Is it Shakur Stevenson? Is it Lamont Roach? For Tank Davis, right? And if I'm being real here, right? The biggest fight for Tank Davis right now is the rematch. And the reason why I say it's the rematch is because everybody said that Tank lost the fight. The majority of fans said that Tank lost that fight because of the knee.
As the fight draws closer, Davis's camp is staying quiet but focused. No bold predictions, no flashy declarations, just a clear emphasis on execution. Calvin Ford summed it up best when asked about his confidence in a Tank victory. "We're not making noise this time. We're making adjustments. That's the difference." Tank is entering this rematch with Lamont Roach under a microscope. The scrutiny is heavier, and the expectations are higher than they were for their first encounter. This time, everyone's watching to see if Davis can correct the mental lapses and tactical missteps that kept the last fight from being a clear win. His record of 30 wins, 0 losses, and 28 knockouts still stands strong, but the draw with Roach raised questions. It allowed critics and boxing analysts to finally point to a performance that looked human. Now the pressure is on Tank to reassert his dominance and shut those voices down. David Benavidez, current WBC light heavyweight champion, has been very direct in his assessment of Davis's mindset and its impact on the fight. On the Pound for Pound podcast, Benavidez predicted that the outcome of the rematch could swing decisively based on Davis's mental approach. He believes that Davis allowed respect for Roach and thoughts about retirement to seep into his preparation and performance. He said that if the 9th round knee had been scored properly as a knockdown, the fight would have gone to Roach. That detail alone has fueled speculation that Roach has a real chance in the rematch, especially if Davis shows the same energy.
And I was happy with the draw decision. In my opinion, I could say that Tank edged it if I was judging the fight. I had Tank up by 1 round, but that knockdown took it down a round. So, in my conclusion, I still think it was a draw though, because I had Tank up by 1-2 rounds. But that the knockdown, it was all over the place. So I really don't, depending on how the ref take the bout, I think the bout came into a ref hand.
Benavidez emphasized the danger of approaching a rematch without the right psychological edge. He didn't question Davis's talent, but did question his mental sharpness. His prediction leans heavily on the belief that Davis will need to abandon the mindset he had in the first fight. According to him, giving an opponent that much respect and talking about retirement are red flags. He noted that Roach may simply have the style and rhythm that troubles Davis based on their long amateur history. This past familiarity, in Benavidez's opinion, could play a role in another close fight unless Davis changes everything about how he approaches Roach this time.
He got a lot of boos from that. A lot of people wasn't really feeling that. Do you feel like he'll fight better this next fight?
I think so, for sure. And, you had mentioned that they've known each other since childhood.
Yeah.
So maybe that had something to do with that first fight. But now they've fought, they've gotten that experience out of the way. So I think we're going to see both of them a lot more locked in.
Way better, yeah. Definitely more locked in. Can you see this being a knockout on both fighters' side?
He believes Roach will again rise to the occasion and deliver a strong performance. Roy Jones Jr. predicts that Roach will shock the world again, suggesting he doesn't think Roach's performance in the first fight was a fluke. However, he anticipates that Davis will come in with a new mindset, more serious, more aggressive, more locked in. Jones expects Davis to shift his energy and execution to avoid another close call. His prediction hinges on Davis embracing a different personality and motivation level. If Davis does that, Jones says the rematch will be different in tone and tempo. He still sees Roach performing well, but ultimately thinks Davis will assert more control.
I think Gervonta had a bad night. I look for a tough fight in the next fight, but I still see Gervonta winning. I think Gervonta will win in a little easier this time. But Roach is a heck of a fighter. He's going to give everybody a hard, anybody that fights is going to give a hard time. But I do think that Davis had an off night.
I spoke to Eddie Hearn and he said he wanted to make the Shakur Tank fight straight away. Obviously now Tank's going into the rematch. That won't happen yet, but when it does happen, Eddie's still adamant that
Matchroom promoter Eddie Hearn offered another angle. He believes the rematch will be a bigger spectacle than the first fight, not just because of the controversy, but because it has now become a real rivalry. Hearn has made it clear that the first bout changed the dynamic. Now with fans paying attention and expectations rising, Hearn predicts Davis will be more dialed in. Still, Hearn isn't handing Davis an easy win. He says it won't be easy, and that's a direct call that the rematch will test both fighters not just physically, but mentally. Hearn isn't alone in this thought. A rematch after a draw where one fighter appeared to underperform and the other over-delivered tends to come with tension. Hearn's view is that the first fight revealed a crack in the assumed dominance of Davis, and that Roach's confidence will only grow from it. Hearn expects Davis to be better, but also believes Roach will bring more to the table this time.
He got lucky at the draw. He did a good fight though. I thought he won it, but man, you gotta just create more action. That's a sparring session as far as I'm concerned. But god damn, that's not the Gervonta I know.
Shakur Stevenson, one of the most technically gifted boxers in the world and the current WBC lightweight champion, is watching the rematch closely, not only because of the competitive value of the fight, but because the winner may end up across the ring from him. His predictions aren't based on hype or assumptions. They're grounded in personal experience. Stevenson has sparred with Roach and knows what kind of preparation Roach puts into a fight. He flat out rejected the narrative that Davis will simply walk through Roach in the rematch. Stevenson emphasized that this isn't just a formality or a simple comeback fight for Davis.
What does the rematch look like between Lamont and Gervonta, you think?
I like Lamont in the rematch.
I think you were one of the few that kind of picked Lamont to begin with. Why was that?
I sparred with Lamont. I knew that he was a good fighter. He helped me get ready for the Oscar Valdez fight. And I knew his style, with Tank style, what he was going to be able to bring to the table. I knew it. So.
Did you really win 20 rounds?
I swear to God, on my daughter's life, I won that much money.
How different does a rematch look in?
Stevenson made it clear he's not buying into the usual rematch talk where people assume Davis will come in and easily dominate. He doesn't see it that way. To him, Roach has already proven he's capable of rising to the occasion. Stevenson even mentioned he bet on the first fight going the distance because he felt Roach wouldn't get the win, no matter how well he fought. That kind of belief in Roach's toughness and preparation is why Stevenson expects this rematch to be another long, demanding battle that pushes Davis past his usual explosive style.
I feel like wins the rematch.
Who wins the rematch?
Yeah.
They're both gonna come ready again. See, the first one was a tough one too. I had Lamont pulling it off. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, smudge. Like I wasn't mad at the draw. You know, I'm gonna rock with Lamont though.
Think Lamont takes it?
It's hard.
Close, yo.
Because Lamont surprised me a lot. You know, so yeah, I'm gonna say Lamont, man.
Stevenson believes Davis can't afford to come in with the same mindset he had in the first fight. In his eyes, Tank needs to be at his absolute peak, and then some. Just matching his last performance or making minor tweaks won't cut it. Stevenson thinks Roach is going to step up even more this time, which means Davis has to take things to an entirely new level. It's not just about fixing mistakes, it's about becoming a better, sharper version of himself.
Tank the hardest puncher I ever faced. No. And I ain't shitting on him or nothing like that. He can punch. But Jonathan Okendo, he's from Puerto Rico. Bro, he got bricks in his hands, bro. I lie to you not. He punch hard. I ain't gonna lie. He a hard hit, motherfucker.
Though their takes differ, the message is the same. Davis needs a new approach for this fight. From Benavidez questioning his mindset to Stevenson shutting down the idea of an easy win. The warning is clear. This rematch demands full focus and adjustment. No one is counting Roach out. In fact, some believe he could win if Davis doesn't adjust. This isn't just a title defense anymore. It's a real test. If Davis wants to stay unbeaten, he needs to lock in. What do you think wins between the two? Drop a comment below and don't forget to hit the subscribe button.